The message that saved humanity wasn't sent by a government or a general or a scientist. It was sent by a frightened 8-year-old girl standing on a beach watching the sky fall. And when an alien civilization heard her voice, they broke every law of their kind to answer. Centuries later, humanity returned the favor.
The asteroid was first logged at 0217 UTC. Routine, automatic, unremarkable. The Cerro Painal Deep Sky Array in Chile had cataloged thousands of near-Earth objects over the last decade. Most were harmless. Many never warranted a second glance. 7713 Apollyon was initially flagged for size alone. Diameter estimate, 112 to 120 kilometers. That was already troubling. Then came the Orbital Solution Update. Then another. Then the silence in the control room when the third solution stabilized. Dr. Elena Nevado had been awake for 19 hours when the final trajectory converged. She stared at the projected impact ellipse. It did not wobble. It did not shrink. It intersected Earth, dead center across the Pacific Basin. Impact velocity, 41.3 kilometers per second. Mass, 1.8 times 10 to the 18 kilograms. Her breath left her slowly.
Run it again.
They did. The result did not change.
The first global simulation ran 37 minutes later. It showed the Pacific Ocean lifting upward like a wall. The impact flash was brighter than the sun. A hemispheric firestorm spread across Asia and the Americas within minutes. Atmospheric ignition cascaded. Dust injection models predicted 87% photosynthetic collapse within 60 days. Global average surface temperature would spike to 900 degrees Celsius locally, then plunge into a prolonged impact winter. Every major ecosystem gone. Human survival probability beyond 5 years, less than 0.02%. The room was quiet, except for the hum of cooling systems. Someone whispered, "How long?"
247 days.
Elena replied. The United Nations was informed within 6 hours. Financial markets were not informed. They found out anyway. A junior analyst forwarded a trajectory image to a friend. The friend posted it. The post went viral in 14 minutes. Within 24 hours, markets crashed 38%. Oil futures spiked, then collapsed. Airlines grounded flights. 3 nuclear-armed states elevated readiness levels. Religious attendance doubled worldwide. But so did blood donations. So did volunteer registrations. So did university enrollment in physics and engineering programs. Humanity fractured, but it also focused. Within 72 hours, NASA, ESA, CNSA, ISRO, Roscosmos, JAXA, and every private aerospace firm were integrated under the International Planetary Defense Network. All intellectual property restrictions were suspended. Rival military intelligence services began sharing classified propulsion research. Factories that had once produced luxury vehicles began manufacturing rocket casings. Retired engineers came back. Graduate students dropped dissertations and entered emergency orbital modeling teams. In Mumbai, technicians slept under their consoles. In Berlin, students wrote open-source gravity perturbation algorithms. In Texas, a retired welder live-streamed himself fabricating structural braces for launch gantries he knew might never matter. Humanity did not go quietly. 26 heavy launch vehicles lifted from 6 continents over a span of 8 days. The world watched. Each carried tungsten penetrators designed to fracture the asteroid's structure. They struck Apollyon with enough force to shatter mountains. They created craters 600 meters deep. They did not meaningfully alter its course. Elena closed her eyes as the telemetry updated. Deviation .00004 degrees. Impact window shifted by less than a minute. Then the detonations occurred in space. High-yield standoff charges. Surface vaporization plumes erupted from Apollyon. Fragments separated briefly, then gravitational cohesion reassembled them. Trajectory deviation, .00011 degrees. Still fatal. Lastly, ion drive anchor probes. Experimental. Never field-tested at this scale. 4 latched successfully. 2 were destroyed by ejecta. The remaining 2 burned continuously for 19 days. Deviation gained, .0003 degrees. 17 minutes. 17. The number echoed across news cycles. 17 minutes later than death. Extinction probability remained above 99%.
Amara Klein was 12 years old when she learned the world was ending. Her father worked at the Arizona Transmission Array, helping prepare the archival broadcast. She had been helping catalog cultural submissions, drawings, poems, recordings. When she overheard 2 engineers discussing extinction timelines, she did not cry immediately. She went home. She sat on her bed. She drew the Earth surrounded by stars. Then she asked her father.
Has anyone asked for help?
He didn't know how to answer that. The archival broadcast was meant to be a time capsule, a historical record, drifting into space long after humanity was gone. It was not a distress call, but Amara insisted.
If someone is out there,
She said.
maybe they don't know.
Her father hesitated. Then he added her video to the transmission queue. No one stopped him.
Amara stood in front of a camera in a room that smelled faintly of ozone and machine oil. She didn't rehearse. She didn't know what to say. She just spoke.
If anyone can hear this, we don't want to die.
Her voice shook.
We fight each other a lot, and we hurt her planet, and we make mistakes.
She wiped her eyes angrily.
But we're trying to be better.
She held up her drawing.
If you can help us, please help us.
The file uploaded with the rest of humanity's history. Music, mathematics, literature, art, and a child asking the universe not to let her species disappear. The signal left Earth at light speed. Across 1900 light-years, the Cathari monitoring lattice registered the anomaly. The Cathari were ancient beyond human comprehension. 9 million standard cycles of recorded civilization. They had seen species rise and vanish. They had once intervened recklessly. It had nearly destroyed them. Now they followed a strict doctrine. Intervene only at extinction thresholds. No political manipulation, no cultural domination. Preservation only. High Curator Thalrin analyzed the human transmission. He studied their chemical warfare history, their nuclear brinkmanship, their environmental instability. The metrics painted a volatile picture. Then he reached the child's message. He replayed it once, twice, 3 times. The Preservation Council chamber resonated with harmonic silence. This species demonstrates high aggression indices, one curator noted. They also demonstrate high adaptive unity under threat, another countered. They are young, Thalrin said softly, and asking. The vote required unanimity. 7 voted in favor, 1 abstained. Thalrin cast the final vote. Intervention authorized. No fleet appeared in Earth's sky. Instead, observatories recorded impossible gravitational distortions around Apollyon. Space-time curved, not violently, gently. The asteroid's trajectory shifted as though persuaded. Astronomers recalculated in disbelief, deviation increasing exponentially. On the predicted day of extinction, Apollyon passed Earth at 0.7 lunar distances,
close enough to dominate the night sky, far enough to spare the planet. Tsunamis formed but did not reach continental interiors. Cities did not burn. Oceans did not boil. Humanity survived.
3 days later, a structure materialized at Earth-Moon L1. Massive, iridescent, nearly the size of Manhattan. It transmitted first in prime numbers, then in hydrogen spectral constants, then in fluent human languages. Extinction event neutralized, preservation complete, dialogue requested. The world held its breath and answered.
When the alien structure appeared at Earth-Moon L1, it did not arrive with spectacle. It unfolded. Space itself seemed to crease inward, folding like fabric around an unseen frame. Light refracted in colors no atmospheric scientist could properly name. Instruments failed briefly, then recalibrated. The object did not emit thrust signatures. It did not radiate heat. It simply was. Within minutes, every major telescope on Earth locked onto it. Within 20 minutes, global networks synchronized observation feeds. Within 30, the object transmitted. Prime numbers. Then hydrogen spectral lines. Then mathematics describing gravitational curvature equations humanity had only begun theorizing. Then, after 12 minutes of silence, extinction event neutralized, preservation complete, dialogue requested. There was no threat, no demand, no superiority, just calm, measured, certain.
The Terran Assembly did not yet exist. Instead, a temporary contact council formed within hours, composed of representatives from major world governments, scientific authorities, and civilian observers. Dr. Elena Navarro was selected as scientific liaison. Amara Klein was not officially invited, but the Cathari changed that. The first human delegation approached in a hastily retrofitted lunar transport. Every crew member expected something incomprehensible. They were not disappointed. Inside the alien structure, geometry did not behave normally. Corridors curved without visible bending. Surfaces shimmered with crystalline patterns that shifted in response to proximity. Gravity felt subtly lighter. Air was unnecessary. The Cathari did not require oxygen, but a breathable atmosphere had been synthesized inside the reception chamber. In the center stood what appeared to be a humanoid figure composed of faintly luminous filaments. It was a projection. The true Cathari form rested behind layers of energy fields, crystalline matrices suspended within articulated exoskells. They perceived electromagnetic gradients and gravitational harmonics directly. Vision for them was secondary. High Curator Thalren spoke first. His voice was not produced by vibration of air. It resonated through localized electromagnetic modulation, translated into human auditory frequencies. "You are preserved." Elena Navarro steadied herself.
Yes, because of you.
"Because you asked."
Human biologists struggled to comprehend Cathari structure. Their neural networks were not electrochemical in the mammalian sense. They were lattice-based, with signal propagation through crystalline quantum conduction pathways. They were both fragile and extraordinarily resilient. A Cathari could withstand radiation levels that would sterilize Earth. But extreme mechanical disruption could shatter their neural matrix permanently. They did not reproduce biologically. They cultivated new lattice cores through controlled growth cycles, embedding accumulated knowledge into them. They were, in essence, living archives. The Cathari showed humanity fragments of their past. They had once expanded aggressively. They had once believed survival justified dominance. They had fought wars that destabilized entire star clusters. They had nearly annihilated themselves. From that devastation came the preservation doctrine.
Intervene only to prevent extinction, never to control, never to rule. Power, Thalran said, must be restrained by memory. The phrase would be quoted in human political philosophy for centuries. Human military leaders requested weapon systems. The Cathari declined. Instead, they shared defensive principles, gravitational modulation fields capable of redistributing kinetic energy, energy dispersion shielding layered in harmonic resonance bands, slipstream mathematics describing how space-time could be folded safely. These tools, Thalran said, are for survival, not conquest. Human engineers copied every equation. The Contact Council formally asked what the Cathari required in return. Resources? Strategic partnership? Cultural exchange? Thalren's answer was consistent. Preserved potential is sufficient. The concept unsettled some human officials. Nothing was ever free, except, apparently, survival. On the 5th day, the Cathari made a request. They asked to meet the originator of the emotional broadcast fragment, Amara. The world debated for hours. Security protocols, psychological impact, symbolism. Amara herself answered the debate simply.
You saved us. I want to say thank you.
She stood again in front of something far larger than she understood. The holographic projection shimmered gently. You asked, Thalran said. She nodded.
I didn't know if anyone would hear.
We heard.
Why did you help us?
Thalren paused longer than he had in any diplomatic exchange. Because extinction silences possibility. Your species has many possibilities. Amara swallowed.
Are we going to be okay?
That depends on what you become. She didn't fully understand, but she would remember.
On the 6th day after their arrival, the Cathari vessel began to fold space around itself. No dramatic farewell, no parade, just a final transmission. Preservation complete. Continue. Then they were gone. Humanity stared into empty space and felt something new. Responsibility. The asteroid crisis had revealed two truths. Humanity could unite. Humanity could fail catastrophically. The months following the Cathari departure saw political upheaval. Governments that had hoarded resources during the crisis lost power. Movements advocating planetary unity gained traction. Within 12 years, the Terran Assembly was ratified. It did not eliminate national identities. It created a planetary authority over existential threats. Military coordination became centralized under planetary defense mandates. The memory of extinction was too fresh to ignore. The Terran Defense Fleet was not built from fear. It was built from memory. Admiral doctrine emphasized layered shielding, rapid response mobilization, distributed fleet architecture to avoid single-point failure, preservation first, engagement rules. At its peak strength, centuries later, 742 combat-rated vessels, 18 Aegis-class dreadnoughts, 96 Vanguard cruisers, 210 Sentinel destroyers, 418 escort frigates. But those numbers came slowly, through debate, through budget fights, through ideological opposition from pacifist factions who argued the universe contained benevolence. Others argued benevolence was rare and fragile.
Children grew up learning about Apollyon, about the 5 days, about Amara's message. Her drawing hung in the Terran Assembly Hall, a simple blue circle surrounded by stars. Underneath it, an inscription. We're trying to be better.
Humanity expanded. 41 colonized systems over 3 centuries. Terraforming technology matured. Interstellar trade networks flourished. But in the Assembly's central chamber, above every major vote, one phrase remained etched in crystalline alloy. Power must be restrained by memory. Falren's words.
Year 403 post-preservation. Amara Klein was long dead, but her message still existed in every historical archive. A motion entered assembly floor. Initiate contact mission to Kithari space. Debate lasted 6 months. Some argued humanity should remain independent. Others argued debt must be acknowledged. The vote passed, 62% approval. Fleet allocation, 612 vessels. 130 remained stationed across Terran territories. Admiral Arjun Rao was appointed expedition commander. Slipstream coordinates, unchanged for 4 centuries, were entered. Humanity prepared to cross the dark.
Slipstream travel was never comfortable. Even after 3 centuries of refinement, it felt like falling sideways through a thought. Admiral Arjun Rao stood on the command platform of the TDF Aegis Prime, the fleet's flagship dreadnought. Behind him stretched 611 additional Terran vessels in layered formation. Total expedition strength, 612. Breakdown: 18 Aegis-class dreadnoughts, 96 Vanguard cruisers, 210 Sentinel destroyers, 288 escort frigates. 130 frigates remained stationed across Terran space. Slipstream apertures bloomed in synchronized silence. The fleet vanished from known space.
They emerged into chaos. The first thing Rao noticed was debris. Megastructural fragments drifted across millions of kilometers. Crystalline shards that caught starlight like broken glass. The second thing he noticed was the weapons fire. The Kithari had constructed orbital lattice arrays around their primary world, defensive harmonics designed to deflect kinetic and energy assault. Those arrays were shattered. And swarming through the inner system were vessels unlike anything in Terran databases. Organic, angular, segmented like predatory arthropods. They radiated biological energy signatures intertwined with mechanical enhancement. Fleet intelligence designation, Vorash Dominion. Estimated hostile vessels present, 1,200 plus. The Kithari defense fleet had already been reduced to scattered remnants. Later analysis would reveal fragments of Dominion doctrine. The Vorash were not archivists. They were expansionists, driven by biological imperative. Their species required assimilation of external biomass and technological integration to sustain reproductive cycles. They did not negotiate surrender. They consumed. Civilizations encountered were categorized as either useful or fuel. The Kethari, with their crystalline biology, had proven resistant to direct assimilation, so the Dominion pivoted to annihilation. Their objective was not conquest, it was elimination of competition. Admiral Rao had seconds. If the Terran fleet withdrew, slipstream cooldown would require 47 minutes. In 47 minutes, the Kithari core lattice would fall. He did not consult the assembly. He did not request permission. Fleet combat deployment, all groups. Division as planned. 200 vessels, reinforced Kithari defensive grid nodes. 300 vessels, primary assault vector against Dominion center mass. 112 vessels, evacuation and civilian extraction corridors. Total engaged, 612. Signal all ships, Rao ordered. This is preservation engagement. The Dominion reacted instantly. Vorash plasma lances carved through space, striking the outer Terran frigate screen. 9 escort frigates were destroyed in the first 60 seconds, 3 more crippled. Sentinel destroyers advanced, overlapping shield harmonics calibrated from Kithari defensive mathematics. Human shields flared white under impact. The first Terran counterfire came from Vanguard cruisers, focused antimatter lances. 14 Vorash vessels ruptured immediately, but there were too many.
Aboard the Aegis-class dreadnought Resolute, Captain Yara Iqbal watched tactical overlays shift faster than human reflexes. Dominion carriers clustering at Vector 6.
Permission to break formation.
Granted, Raoul replied. Resolute accelerated beyond primary shield coverage, drawing concentrated fire. Plasma impacts hammered its layered dispersion fields. Hull integrity dropped to 63%, but its spinal gravitic cannon charged. The shot tore through 3 Dominion bioships in a single line. The explosion cascaded into a 4th. Dominion formation destabilized. Then return fire breached Resolute's outer lattice. Iqbal understood instantly.
Signal all ships. Maintain formation. Do not pursue.
Her final transmission was calm.
For Earth.
Resolute's core overloaded. The detonation consumed 12 Dominion vessels in proximity. Human loss count at hour 1. 27 Sentinel destroyers destroyed. 12 escort frigates destroyed. 1 Aegis-class dreadnought lost. Total destroyed so far, 40 vessels.
Meanwhile, 200 Terran vessels worked to stabilize Cathari lattice nodes. Human engineers interfaced with alien harmonic matrices mid-battle. Gravitational modulation fields extended outward. Shield coverage around the Cathari primary world increased by 11%, then 19%, then 27%. Dominion assault vectors began to deflect. The Cathari were buying time. The humans were amplifying it.
By hour 6, human vessels destroyed, 74 total. 112 damaged but operational. Dominion confirmed hull kills approximately 430. Still, enemy numbers remained superior. Admiral Ray authorized phase shift maneuver, a tactic developed but never field-tested at scale. Micro-slipstream insertion. Terran destroyers executed synchronized micro-jumps inside Dominion formations, appearing within 3,000 kilometers of enemy hulls. Close-range antimatter detonations followed. Dominion vessels were not designed for internal detonation shock. Clusters collapsed. Dominion casualties surged. The Vorash adapted. They began targeting human slipstream signature harmonics mid-jump. 6 destroyers were torn apart during transition. 5 frigates lost to premature re-entry shear. Human loss count rose to 96 destroyed. Fleet strength remaining, 516 operational. But Dominion numbers had dropped below 500. For the first time, they were losing numerical advantage. Rao stood unmoving as casualty reports scrolled. 18,000 souls under his command. He had ordered this. He had not asked Earth. He thought of Amara's drawing in the assembly hall. He thought of the night Apollyon filled Earth's sky. "We are what we remember," he whispered. By hour 14, human vessels destroyed 109. 163 heavily damaged but functional. Operational fleet remaining, 503. Dominion vessels remaining, approximately 120. Then, Dominion Command signaled coordinated suicide assault. Every remaining bioship accelerated toward the Cathari core lattice. They intended to breach through mass detonation. Admiral Rao did not hesitate. All ships, final containment protocol. 503 Terran vessels aligned, synchronized firing solutions locked. Gravitic cannons, antimatter lances, kinetic accelerators. The volley was simultaneous. The Dominion fleet ceased to exist in Cathari space. No surrender, no survivors. Debris drifted. Energy signatures faded. Human casualty confirmation. 109 vessels destroyed total. 163 heavily damaged. 18,442 personnel lost. Cathari survival rate, 63% of core population preserved. High Curator Thalren's lattice had sustained fracturing but remained intact. He initiated direct harmonic communication with Admiral Rao. "You were not required to intervene." Rao answered without hesitation. "We were required by who we are." Humanity remained in Cathari space for 8 standard months. Joint defensive grids were constructed. Human shipyards assisted in rebuilding orbital lattice segments. Shared research accelerated hybrid defensive technologies. The Interstellar Preservation Accord was signed. Its charter simple. Any extinction-level threat encountered by either civilization would trigger mutual intervention. No species would face annihilation alone. News of the Dominion's annihilation spread. Other observing civilizations, silent until then, adjusted their calculations. Humanity was categorized as technologically ascending, militarily formidable, morally precedent-bound. The Cathari amended their doctrine. For 9 million cycles, they had preserved alone. Now preservation had become an alliance. Centuries later, a new species on the edge of collapse transmitted a fractured signal into space. It was desperate, uncertain, afraid. 2 fleets answered, one crystalline and ancient, one forged in memory and fire. Because once, a child asked for help, and someone listened, and humanity learned that power is not measured by conquest. It is measured by what you refuse to let die.